All right, y'all, it is that time of the year. So it is time to talk about my favorite eyeshadow palettes of 2024. Let's go ahead and get started. Hey guys, this is Ashley. Welcome on back to my channel. So if you're new here, welcome. And if you're oldie but goodie, welcome on back. My name is Ashley. I have a doctorate in pharmacy and I love makeup. So that's how you get Dr. Ash and her makeup, but please just call me Ash or Ashley. And eyeshadow is my jam. It is literally like one of my most favorite things to talk about here on my channel. So let's go ahead and get started because I have picked out my favorite eyeshadow palettes. I didn't give myself a number. I really didn't rank them. I will tell you my favorite eyeshadow palette pretty much of the year. What I know is pretty much my favorite, I believe. Now, with that being said, unfortunately, I have to do some housekeeping because this is just... I know how I feel and I don't know how I feel because the story is still developing, but today is Saturday, the 22nd of December, if you're wondering in context of what I'm about to say. So, as you know, I love me some Eyeshadow Rain Cosmetics. I've been very upfront about it. I actually have it on my eyes at the moment. And they did send me their new release. It hasn't arrived yet because of UPS, but they did send me their new release that launches on the day after Christmas. So there has been some issues. I know one thing that a lot of people were upset about was about the AI artwork. And I've always addressed that in my videos, and I care and I don't care. I get both sides of the stance. I know that this release that's coming up with the Wolf Moon that's inspired by Cold Moon palettes, that they commission people that do AI artwork for this particular release versus just using AI. The Light in Your Eyes release was an actual artist. It does look like AI, but that's like the aesthetic of the brand. If that's what you want your aesthetic to be, that's what you want your aesthetic to be. Now, the part that does kind of upset me, and I don't know how I feel about it, and I have a lot of thoughts, and I'm still working out how I will proceed with the brand, and I'm still waiting on further developments because, like I said, this is all new. I had my palettes put out, set aside, and I was like, this is what I'm going to film. These are the palettes I chose, and these are the palettes basically I've been talking about all year. So let's call it spade a spade. So it was a certain content creator. I'm not going to really list her because I don't want like a bunch of backlog or anything like that. But I'm not even sure she's really a content creator because I don't know her, but it says she's coming back in 2025. But somebody basically just sent me the information, and basically she noted that Eyeshadow Rain Cosmetics from their business page has liked certain political pages that are very sketchy in my opinion, and then she also liked RFK Jr. Now he is going to be the HHS secretary. I do not agree with it. I am a pharmacist, as I just mentioned, but I do want to see what he has to say because I think a lot of it's foolishness. I think we're going to be walking around here with the measles, mumps, and rubella. I mean, there's already measles outbreaks. Talking about when they get rid of the polio vaccine. Do I agree with that? No. My grandfather had polio. My grandfather was born with polio. He had a very successful life, but he was like one of 2 kids that survived out of 60-something kids that were born with polio in the Florida Panhandle. And one in him other person survived. Now, he went on to have a successful career. He died before I was born. He was in a wheelchair his whole entire life. He was an opera singer. He sang for Franklin D. Roosevelt's funeral, and he had polio as well. He also invented how to drive with, the broomsticks and everything, and he put the idea out there, and Ford took it because it was patent. But that's what happens when you're Black also. So it's a lot of history there. So she also, it's another website or another Instagram page that she liked from her business account. So it actually said Eyeshadow Rain Cosmetics liked this post, and they were very transphobic, very talking about gender pronouns and things like that and how they don't agree with it. And some of it, like, I get it, but I'm not a person, I don't hate anybody. I have friends that identify themselves all type of ways, and I feel that what you do is what you do. Okay, I have no hate in my heart for anybody. Sometimes it's like, is it too much for me? Yes, but you don't have to hate anybody. You don't have to project any hate and things of that nature. Now, she did release a statement right before this video, right before I'm recording this video and I was getting ready. So it says basically, we've offended people. we're working on it in a very inclusive environment. But my thing is, in the beauty community, like most of the people who are going to support your brand, they have all different types of walks of life. You know, they're going to identify as maybe trans, they're going to gay, trans, non-binary, the whole 9 yards, cis, gender, everything. And a lot of it is hard for me to understand, but like I said, I don't hate anybody. I don't have any hate in my heart. If things are not for you, mind your own business. Point blank in the period, you know, mind your own business. Don't spew out any hate. And things like that are just a slippery slope when you're a Black content creator. Also because as a Black woman in America, we're often marginalized. We can't hide behind, like, you know, if you identify as a certain pronoun, nobody would know because you're not a minority. But when you're a minority, you're already like certain things are just projected on top of you. And then when you have other types of minority when you identify as other groups also and Black, it's just even worse. So I'm very cautious because some things is like it could be a dog whistle. I don't know what is true and what's not true, but I'm gonna watch what's going on. Basically, I'm gonna watch what's going on, see what happens. Now, the palettes in here, majority, I have spent my hard-earned money on them, and I've talked about them all year, so I'm going to present them. And this video is supposed to be about Joy and eyeshadow palettes that I have loved over the past 12 months. And I don't want to take away from that video, but I'm definitely going to say what I'm going to say. And I don't know. I just don't know. It's only been a couple hours. That's all I can give you. But I definitely want to go ahead and, you know, and say that. And that was on my heart. I feel like, but I also feel like we should also give people grace in certain situations because there's been a lot of brands out here who have done crazy things. Your favorite brands have done some stuff. There's a lot of brands I've talked about on this channel. Other content creators have talked about on this channel. Maybe they know them personally. Maybe they didn't know that, you know, they're trans. They identify a certain way. They've you know, they're fully represented them and then made other missteps with other cultures in the same breath, and they've corrected it. So I hope that's what can happen here with Inslee Rain. The AI is sticky. People are going to be in uproar. People are going to be in an uproar about everything. But at the end of the day, everybody is human and we need to operate that. There's a lot of good in people. Do we make missteps? Yes, but it's also about the content of the person's character or people's character. And some people just don't have enough good in them. So I hope, I hope that's not the case here, but I'm just going to watch it. That's all I really want to say at this point, because we're going to be joyful, because if this goes well, this should be up on Christmas Eve. So yes, and if you don't celebrate Christmas, happy holidays to you. But I celebrate Christmas. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. This is in no particular order, but these are the palettes I have been loving for the entire year, okay? So let's get started. I got my little basket here. You get some little sneak peeks. Pulled them out. Kept it around 10-ish. Pretty exciting here. Now, you know, I've had an interesting year. Started off a year strong with the makeup, okay? Also, let's see. Then, you know, I got sick, but I ordered a lot of palettes while I got sick. I didn't miss a release that I wanted, okay? So that works out there. So let's see. Okay. So right here, we have the Yip Makeup. This is the Floating Life palette. This is actually a collab with Freya 86, and this is a C Beauty brand. And this palette has just been so gorgeous. It's been really fun discovering these new C Beauty brands and their whole aesthetic. And let me tell you something, the shadows have been nothing short but of amazing, okay? First of all, you see these buttery soft shimmers. Basically everything on here I should have a video on. The buttery soft shimmers, the matte formulations, and the matte formulations do not come to play. They are beautiful. They blend on top of each other. You can layer them. You can smoke them out. You can build up the pigmentation. First of all, they have pigmentation, so they work on skin complexions like mine and deeper, which is super exciting, especially because these are C Beauty brands, you know, so you wouldn't necessarily think like, okay, they're paying attention to things that can work on African American skin tones. I don't know if they were or if they weren't, but this is just the aesthetic they were going for, that they like a lot of pigmentation. But I haven't found, it might be one where like a couple shadows didn't work, but that wasn't like the true intention. But the color story of this palette, actually, when you kind of look at the vibes of the palette, you can kind of just tell the color stories that I have been loving, which has been typically the cool tone stories, which I've been very happy with. You know, that kind of brings me back to my makeup nostalgia when I started loving makeup, which is back in the 90s, and it was very much cool. It was grungy, it was grays, it was browns, it was taupes, and it was silver. And you have beautiful multi-chromes right here. You have this beautiful pop of red. You have the hollow chromes. You have different formulations. Some are stickier, some are a little bit more smooth. And I have just really fallen in love with this palette. All right, so the next brand, I have been loving them, and it is a woman-owned, black-owned brand, and it is DD Signature. So this is the Ultimate Cappuccino palette, and it is just such a good neutral palette. Yes, your girl does love neutral palettes, okay? But these shimmers are just, they're so good. Like, I even wore this palette with a mixture of another palette for my 40th birthday shoot. I did a mixture of these two shades. The shades are just so buttery. They catch the light. And you honestly really don't even need a glitter glue to make these shadows work. Now, I'm not dogging anybody who needs a glitter glue. You know, I am a big fan of the glitter glue, okay? Because my eyelids are hooded. They can be a little bit oily, and that's just, it is what it is. And I need the longevity because I usually put my makeup on and it's kind of on for a long time. So this is the Ultimate Cappuccino palette. I definitely think that this is going to be one of the brands to watch on this particular, one of the brands to watch in 2025. Now, I do like the mattes in here, but I feel like some of the matte quality is a little, so that's what kind of makes this palette rate down a little bit lower. Now, I did speak to the brand owner, and she said a couple of things happened in production with these mattes, and they were not quite the quality that she hoped for. But the palette I'm going to show next definitely kind of goes this way, or it has the up quality. So the next palette I'm going to show will be the Fearless Holiday. So this is kind of like a fast favorite. I can't definitely say this is a top palette, but I definitely feel like this is like an honorable mention because I just got this palette. I only used it once, and I actually put a look up today with like an unconventional holiday look for it, and this is the Fearless Holiday. So it is gorgeous, super stunning. We also have some magnetic shadows in this particular pan. The color story is just really great. It's unconventional. It's meant to be used in the actual roles. Of course, you could just kind of jump around as you please and create different types of looks. So, and it's supposed to be inspired between fall and Christmas. So it's just like basically the whole holiday season. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, anything else you may celebrate in between. You're just supposed to have a time with it. But I also feel like it's a very appropriate palette that you can basically wear any time of the year. It has a mirror. The packaging is better, but I feel like if she just upgrades the packaging of her palettes, now that she has her formulation down pat, she will be unstoppable. Plus, they're at pretty affordable price points for the palettes, but the quality of the mattes are really great. So I feel like she really outdid herself with this palette, and she's had some great things this year. Also with having like the collab with Makeup Love's Radar, Jamie, her Plume collection, but I just wanted to make this like an honorable mention because I've only used it once. Now next up is, oh my gosh, this palette. I said, girl, you just outdid yourself. Now, I did get this palette in PR, but if I didn't, honey, I was going to be the first to be buying it because it is simply gorgeous. And this is like the true essence of a spicy neutral palette. We have Adep Cosmetics Flying Fiddles. The packaging just gorgeous, and this is one of the first palettes. Well, not actually, I'm about to backtrack because I was going to say this is one of the first palettes of this size, but it definitely was not because we had so many last year. I don't know where that statement was about to come out from, but this, I feel like this is one of the first palette that she had that was like pretty much just a neutral staple palette that you can have in your collection. Because if we think about some of the other palettes, like we had Sumerian Sunset, I love that palette down, but it's very bright, in your face, bold, very warm tone colors. They had Element 115, very more silvery blue and purple. We had the Arrow palette, of course, that was all green, and then it was something else. But I feel like this is one of the first palettes that's just like, this is pretty much neutral. Like, we're here for it, okay? And she had pretty much a really good run this year as well. So we have like bronzes, we have coppers, we have like our Papa Teal, we got our berries, we got our browns, our taupes, and dare I say, not even dare I say, like, I feel like if you missed out on the Natasha Denona gold palette, like the original, not that new gold mess, because I don't know what that is. But if you wanted to dupe the vibes or have something of the aesthetic of that particular palette, you definitely have it here. At first, I didn't see it, and one of my subscribers said it, but then I put a look together, and I was like, you know, right there. So this shade, this shade, this shade, this shade, it kind of gives, this one definitely gives the lime chrome vibes. And then you also have this down here that has that teal that you definitely have in the gold palette. That was one of the standout shades. Also this other chartreuse shade. You have this shade in the middle that kind of swirls between citrine and a couple other shades. So you definitely have a lot of elements mixed in right here. So this is such a good palette. This makes me so excited every time I pull it out, and it's just neutral with something to offer. I love it. Like I said, Adept had a run, and one of my other favorite palettes of the year, top in my eyes, Amy Loves Makeup. She did her thing with this. This is a beautiful, unconventional, cool tone palette. So this is with Adep Cosmetics as well. This is her collaboration, and it is gorgeous. Do you see this? And I love that she made the mattes that they are like all deep, you know? That was her intent. You know, of course, with Adep Cosmetics palettes, you don't usually have a lot of mattes. They prefer to have more shimmers. That's what usually Adept is known for. But they have definitely stepped up their matte game, and the shimmers in here are absolutely gorgeous. You have some beautiful multi-chromes. You have some beautiful just straight up foil shimmers. You have some things with some high intensity. You also have a hollow chrome. And it is just a perfect type of cool tone palette. Like not too much silver, not too much gray, just the right balances of everything. And I really just love how she put this pop of blue in here. It just kind of gives a nice little spice on things. So she did an excellent job with this particular palette. A palette that came in and stole my heart, this one right here. I said, girl, what? The Gargoyle Palette by Unearthly Cosmetics. This palette is just so gorgeous, and like I said, you can kind of see like my aesthetic throughout the year of 2024, and definitely I'm here for the smoke. I've always been here for the blues and the greens and the purples and things like that. This palette is just so neutral. It's bold. You get the greens, you got the blues, you got the purples, you also have your browns. So I love that you can kind of go neutral, you can go bold, you can kind of go plum, you can go blue, and you can go grungy at the same time. You have so many different choices. You have a lot of different mattes that you can play with to create different type of looks, and the shimmers are really fun as well. You have like those dark bold shimmers right here where you can just kind of definitely put it in the outer corner, deepen up your look without absolutely making, you know, using one of the matte shades. You have your mid-tone shimmers. You also have your very light and, you know, ethereal shimmers that you could just pop on the eye. This row is very neutral as far, and also this, and it depending on how you feel. Plum could also be neutral. I feel like plum is a very nice neutral color on my skin tone, where it's like it's not too shocking, but it's nice to put a nice burgundy in the outer corner versus doing a brown. And you know, I also feel like the same way about navy blue. But you have just so beautiful shades in here. The shadow quality is amazing. All the mattes you can just nicely layer over each other. So like, this palette is just such a winner. I've gotten so many beautiful looks with this. Like, I literally have to sometimes convince myself, like, use something else. Use something else ever since this palette came out. One of my favorites is this, because you know what? It's my hometown and they did it right. It'd be nice if I turned the palette the right way. Okay, so right here we have the Chicago Speakeasy palette, and I'm not usually a person who keeps the cover of or the unicarton of my palettes, but this one I definitely had to go ahead and do that, because look at the imagery on here. It is just so nice. It is done really right. You have all the jazz singers on here. We got the gangsters on here, and that is, you know, one of the things Chicago is definitely known for, Al Capone. You know, but when you open it up, it's also super magical, because you have this beautiful cover, and it's just velvet and definitely gives the vibes of the rich romantic speakeasies when you walk in them. And I just feel like they did my city so right. So when you open up, you have a beautiful color scheme. This is very nice and neutral palette. You can definitely, you know, wear it. You got the neutral looks, you got kind of your fiery looks, you got your mauve looks. It's a great spicy neutral palette, especially if you're someone that's my complexion. If you're fairer, it might read a little bit too more bold on you, but I feel like they did just an excellent job. I really love that Chicago had this kind of the speakeasy thing versus just like plopping some shades out there, talking about some Lake Michigan and the Chicago River and the Bean and Sears Tower. I still call it the Sears Tower. It is not the Willis Tower and everything else, but it just kind of centralized on a theme, touched on the Chicago gangster history, but didn't exploit it, went into the whole, you know, liquor, the bootlegging and all of that. So it was just really great. And that's something like Chicagoans still love to go to speakeasies. Like, they're so cool, they're dope, you know, we love it. I love like walking behind a little room and like, this didn't even look like this on the outside. I just love it. So this one right here, this is the Oceano palette, and I just really wish I had more time to play with it this year, but it is just such a gorgeous palette, and dare I say, I feel like this is one of the best blue palettes that's ever entered my collection. It is blue, it is green, it is turquoise, it has a pop of warmth, it's grungy, it has the purples, and the shimmers are just amazing. This is by Cleona Cosmetics. This is actually the new palette that came out with the sister palettes, the Archaeo and the Paleo palette, that came out way back in the YouTube days of 2017 to 2016-ish, back when Cleona was just like, no, they were doing palettes, but then they kind of blew up over their stained glass shadows. But the shimmers in here are beautiful. The mattes in here are beautiful. I feel like you can get so many great looks. So I would definitely say that this is one of my top favorite palettes that came out this year. Also because you have the shade Bluminescent and then the shade Mawaloa. Just a stunning pop of orange that's just really, really pretty. And like I said, you can just get so many looks. You can kind of keep it in the purple family. You got the bright greens, you got your turquoises. And I just feel like it's really well executed. It's monochromatic without just being too monochromatic. And you can get a lot of different looks out of it. So I feel like they did a fabulous job with this one. All right. So next up is Blend Bunny Longing. And you know how I feel about some blends. So this palette I did get in PR, but I was definitely going to buy it. And I feel like this is literally one of my most favorite Blend Bunny palettes in my collection. Like, it's this one, probably after that, All Done Up, look, this one right here, because you already know I love me a good green and mint color story, and this is a cool tone palette that has some of the best shimmers. I'm trying to figure out how to hold it, and it is just so gorgeous. I do have some little gashes in my palette, and it's so sad. Yeah. So, but you have your turquoises, well, not even turquoises, you have like your mints, you have your nice grungy greens, you have your plums, the light lavender shades, you also have nice taupe shades. So you can do neutral, but with like a grungy. It doesn't have to be too green. It doesn't have to be too purple or gray or mint in between. I definitely feel like if you don't particularly like these colors, you won't like the story. But this story was just done so well, so curated. I love that it's like a smaller, condensed version of the Blend Bunny Cosmetics. And I just feel like they did such an excellent job with it. So, yes, literally. Like, if this palette, this is like one of my #1 palettes. And then my other #1 palette, and I've already given my, like, you know, my warning statement. I'm just so upset about it. So this is the Cold Moon palette. So this was literally my favorite palette of the year. I've talked about this palette so much. Like I said, going forward, yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't like it. And I know she's apologized just now, but I don't like it. So I don't know. But this palette's gorgeous. It's like literally a palette that kind of kicked off, well, I wouldn't say necessarily kicked off the cool tone trend, but it was definitely like a staple out there. It was like, this is cool tone done right. This palette was done so right. You, like I said, even though like the matte shades look like they could just be ashy as I don't know what, they always work. Like, I don't know. They always pull right on the complexion. I never have any problem blending them. I always have enough deepening shades. Even the shades that are really light and fair, they still work. So, such a good quality palette. I can just keep going on and on and on. But like I said, I'm just really upset with this brand at the moment. I'm just, like, because it's nothing like loving a brand and then they just disappoint you. And like, I don't know, because part of it is like with the indie makeup space, you get so much access to some of these owners versus like big major brands, but it's just, it sucks because this community is definitely built on all types of people. So for this to have transpired, it just really sucks. The other two palettes that I have is the Groovy Garden palette. Really felt like this is a really great spicy neutral palette. I did purchase this. I purchased the Cold Moon palette. This is the Groovy Garden. Just gorgeous. You got your mustards, your plums, your greens, beautiful shimmers. The quality is always amazing. Yes, the price point is higher, but I feel like I never cared about the price point because the palettes were so good. And then my other mention that I pulled in was the Light in Your Eyes, which is a new palette, and it is a beautiful spicy neutral palette. This palette I did receive in PR ahead of the new release, and it's gorgeous. I mean, I've worn it a couple times. The mustard actually performed really well. I feel like that's something that's important, especially on my golden red skin complexion, because a lot of times mustard, like, it really will complement my skin complexion, but then sometimes they just don't pull. So the browns, you can get so many beautiful looks out of it. So all right, so like I said, just disappointing. And I know they have the two new palettes, and like I said, that is waiting to come to me. So, but it's upsetting. So yeah, like the AI thing is like, that's, you can be upset, you can not be upset, but it's not like, oh my god, a hard no. But trans hate content, I get it. Like, some people just don't understand it, but you don't have to spew that hate out there. Figure it out. If you don't like it, don't like it. But you don't have to hate on anybody or spew more hate. And a lot of times those pages, I just feel like, I don't know, they call themselves conservative, but at the end of the day, it's like a lot of times when I hear a lot of people saying they're conservative, it's just also still like, you're racist at the same time. I'm not calling them racist. I'm just saying it gives the whole vibe. That's the vibes you get. So we'll watch to see, but right now, okay. But I hope you guys have a nice holiday season. I hope you love my choices, although some of them were now all of a sudden controversial compared to when I picked it out 2 days ago. But damn. But okay, so I hope you guys love the choices. Let me know what were your favorites for the year. I'm disappointed. I was excited to see what Inslee was going to do for the next year, but now I'm just like, ugh. Why? But that said, I still love some makeup. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give me a big old comment down below. Give this video a big old thumbs up. Hit the notification bell so you know when I come out with a new video, which will be soon. And subscribe to my channel because you know I love to have you here in my little makeup family. And with that being said, you already know what time it is. It's time for the chair dance. Chair dance. Ayy, ayy, ayy. Chair dance. Chair dance. Ayy. All right, y'all. Bye.